What's up, Michigan? Welcome to State Champs, Michigan's Extra Point. I'm Lorne, joined once again by Scott Burnstein, and we are presented by Lawrence Technological University. You can play college football, LTUS athletic and academic scholarships right now. Recruit yourself by going to LTUathletics.com. Week 8 was a doozy, and we have recaps from some of the best coverage we had here on State Champs. And this week, we have lots of shout-outs on the program. Scott Burnstein is burning on a certain class of signal callers.
Yeah. The under-the-radar Rocket Arms 2023 class. There's a lot of dime droppers that need to be shouted out, and we're going to do it soon.
All right, so get ready for that. On the companion podcast of Extra Point, we're talking injuries with DMC sports medicine physician John Morasso. Among other things, Dr. Morasso talks about the things you can do to help you stay injury-free. Some of that conversation in just minutes. But first, a recap of some of the best coverage from Week 8 of the football season. And we start on the west side. Ding, ding. Battle of the Bell between Whitehall and the defending D6 state champs, Montague. 7-7 game at the half. The Whitehall Vikings, led by Kyle Stratton, who had 3 rushing touchdowns. For whom the bell tolls, Whitehall beats Montague for the first time since 2014, 34-24. Next, 2 undefeated teams in OK Conference Gold Division play. The defending D5 state champs, number 2 in the state, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, taking on Division 3 honorable mention, Cedar Springs. And this one was as advertised. A shootout, no less. GRCC leading 41-33 in the fourth. But then the Redhawks, Brian Mitchell, scores with under a minute left. They decide to go for 2 for the win, but the CC defense with the denial. Cougars hang on to win 41-40. Back down south, state-ranked number 4 and undefeated Warren De La Salle at home taking on Division 3 honorable mention Harper Woods. This game played at Wayne State. Both teams exchanging touchdowns in the first half, including 2 long rushing scores from our Mr. Football leading vote-getter and West Virginia commit Christian Stokes. Pioneers trailed 21-20 at the break, but De La Salle was undeterred. Junior quarterback Brady Drogosh making his claim to be in next year's Mr. Football race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rushing TDs. Pilots head into the Prep Bowl undefeated with a 47-26 win over Harper Woods. You can watch the Prep Bowl live from Ford Field Saturday at 4:30 p.m. on State Champs Game Time Live. And finally, the biggest game in the city every year, the Detroit Public School League Championship between our number 1 team in the state, Detroit King, and number 19 in our top 25, Detroit Cass Tech. The first meeting a few weeks back, high scoring, but points at more of a premium here. CT jumped out to a 15-0 lead at intermission, but back comes King with 2 touchdown passes from one of the Mr. Football favorites, Dante Moore. On the defensive side, pick 6 from the D1 3-star Lynn Weichel in the 4th. King comes back to sweep Cass Tech 21-15 for city bragging rights. Back in studio, Scott Burnstein. That's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, you know what? Shout out to Whitehall for getting that win over the defending state champs, Montague, Team Collins, and whatnot. I really like what I'm seeing from Cedar Springs, even though they lost that game. They're really surging at the right time. When we're talking about De La Salle and Brady Drogosh, I'm going to get to him in a second in terms of his prowess with the aerial assault. But when Brady Drogosh, who's a drop-back passing specialist, rushes for 5 touchdowns, you know you're moving and grooving, trending towards Ford Field. Hopefully, if you're Coach Ron and those De La Salle Pilots. And then, you know, the best rivalry in the state that's not Catholic Central Brother Rice. I touched on that last week. For my money, doesn't get any better than King and Cass. You had probably 24 Division I football players on that field. Lynn Weichel, for me, I got a blog coming out this week. Best on the board, left for the taking for the class of 22. Lynn Weichel is right up there. Just a slippery, slick, crafty receiver that catches everything that's coming in his direction. He makes Dante Moore's life so much easier. So just love to see this great football. We're going towards the home stretch, and couldn't get any better. Gridiron Gladiators everywhere showing off their stuff, showing what the MHSAA is all about when it comes to pigskin in the fall.
No doubt. Extra Points also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Officials are needed. Winter sports right now around the corner. Become an official. Go to MHSAA.com for details. Help wanted. just whistle. I also invite you to listen to the Extra Point Companion audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Among our conversation with State Champs digital managing editor Matt Mowry on his second to last rankings update on the season, I also had a good conversation with Detroit Medical Center sports medicine physician John Morasso. We talked, among other things, the many ways to treat football injuries without surgery. Here's some of what we talked about. Dr. Morasso, let's get into it. What are some of the common football injuries that you see in your practice?
So football is a full body contact sport. So therefore I really see injuries of all the different body structures, your feet, ankles, all the way up down into the hands, back and neck. So in general, we see a lot of soft tissue injuries. These could include a sprain or a strain. Now, a sprain is when a ligament is injured, and ligaments connect bones to other bones, and they help with stability. Where a strain is where a muscle or a tendon is injured, and this will happen with an overstretch injury, and it can range from that all the way to a complete tear. We see contusions and bruises, cramping, bone injuries, stress fractures. So really, we see it all with football.
Our podcast platform of choice is Spreaker.com. Just search State Champ Sports. The Extra Point Michigan podcast is there, as well as our EP podcast covering Indiana and Ohio. We also want to thank our good friends at Hungry Howie's for not only sponsoring the Mr. Football and the Anvil Award, but also for sponsoring Extra Point. Both races are really heating up, but so is this guy. You can see the beads of sweat beginning to bubble up on that crown of his. Scott Burnstein, what are you burning on?
You know, I get excited when we're talking about quarterbacks. And the class of 23 has a lot of kids to shout out. Let's start off with two kids that I expect to be getting Division I offers coming by the boatload very soon. Warren De La Salle's Brady Drogosh and River Rouge's Christian Johnson. They're two of the best in the class of 23. They should be playing their football next to a bakery, next to a bank, because they're dropping sugar dimes all over the field, threading needles, finding tight windows. These two check all the boxes when it comes to size, when it comes to field vision, when it comes to composure in the pocket, when it comes to making all the throws at all three levels. Christian Johnson and Brady Drogosh can do it in spades. Move on to Ithaca, Bronson Bupp, continuing the trend of great signal callers to come out of the Yellow Jackets program over at Davison. Braylon Himmeline, who, had some growing pains early on, but has really started to play great football at the quarterback position and is really another one of these signal callers that's surging towards the playoffs. You got the Gladwin gunslinger and Nick Wheeler. I love this kid, a real diamond in the rough out of Gladwin. Water Valete, Tyson Williams is playing some really good quarterback, a dual threat that you should know about. Down in Metro Detroit, you got Ethan Hamby at Dakota, a junior that is really just scratching the surface of what we're going to see from him. I think next year will be a year where he has a breakout senior season. Junior year, he's just kind of getting his, feeling his surroundings, and now he's starting to make all the throws after we're getting out of that first half of the season into the second half of the season. Hamby looks really good. And then let's finish off with some real supersonic sleeper specials in the class of 23. Trey Ritchie at Ypsilanti Lincoln is a name that you should know about. He does it with his legs, he does it with his arm, he does it with a high football IQ. Seneca Moore at Holt is having a breakout year. Again, a dual threat that's just electric. And let's finish off with Luke Hall over at Anchor Bay, another Giannone gunslinger that you got to know about. I think just like I was talking about with Hamby and Himmeline, next year should be a big breakout for Luke Hall, but he's playing really well as a junior. Another guy I want to shout out at Roseville, Robert Salter, a really good quarterback in the junior class. Just guys that all have soft touch, all have great command in the pocket, and playing quarterback the way it needs to be played as you head into the playoffs.
Each and every week you can find State Champs Michigan with coverage of a lot of high school football. And you know, Week 9 is no different. Here's some of what we're most looking forward to. It's a title tilt in the KLAA conference as number 25 Heartland is going to take on 5th-ranked Belleville. In the Downriver League, 7-1 Gibraltar Carlson will take a quick trip to take on 8-0 and co-number 25 in the state Woodhaven as they try and clinch the league crown.
Game time.
We have a pair of 5-3 teams duking it out in the MAC as D2 honorable mention Roseville takes on Macomb, Dakota. And it's a border war as the PSL champs Detroit King bring up Ohio Power and 6-2 Cincinnati Moeller. And finally, the Battle of the Huron Valley is 7-1 Milford takes on 5-3 Lakeland. These rivals could meet again in the first round of the playoffs next week. So many ramifications, Scott, as we head into Selection Sunday.
Yeah, we have some great football. I'm really excited about that King-Moeller game. Two superpowers from two of the best programs that each state has to offer going at it, whether it be Ohio or Michigan. I'm excited what we got going down in the LVC. I'm excited about what we have just across the state. So we should have a great Week 9 and be going like gangbusters into the playoffs.
Our final Game Time Live is none other than the Prep Bowl Championship between Warren De La Salle and U of D Jesuit. Kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. from Ford Field. You can watch it live on the State Champs Facebook, YouTube, and even our State Champs Esports Twitch channel. Ryan Slocum and Richie Pop on the call. That's it for this week. For Scotty, I'm Lorne, and we'll see ya. State Champs Extra Point, presented by Lawrence Technological University and Lawrence Tech Athletics. For everything LTU, visit ltu.edu. You can recruit yourself to any of Lawrence Tech's collegiate athletic teams by visiting ltuathletics.com. Also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Detroit Medical Center Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. Do you have a sports injury, or are you just looking to take your game to the next level? Go where the pros go. Visit dmc.org/gamechangers. And Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor.